couple of days I've been reading about China, and some of the companies in China, one in particular, coming up with a faster method of AI and much less expensive method. And that's good because you don't have to spend as much money. I view that as a positive, as an asset. So I really think if it's fact and if it's true, and nobody really knows if it is, but I view that as a positive because you'll be doing that too. So you won't be spending as much and you'll get the same result, hopefully. The release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser-focused on competing to win.
A little-known artificial intelligence lab from China has sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley after unveiling AI models that rival and surpass America's top contenders, despite being developed at a fraction of the cost and using less powerful chips.
China's latest AI breakthrough has leapfrogged the world.
I think we should take the development out of China very, very seriously.
A game-changing move that does not come from OpenAI, Google, or Meta.
There is a new model that has all of the valley buzzing.
But from a Chinese lab called DeepSeek.
It's opened a lot of eyes of what is actually happening in AI in China.
The lab, DeepSeek, introduced a free, open-source large language model in late December, claiming it took just 2 months and under $6 million to develop.
Google and OpenAI years and hundreds of millions of dollars to build. DeepSeek says took it just 2 months and less than $6 million.
Even more striking is that DeepSeek achieved this breakthrough using Nvidia's H800 chips, downgraded versions of the advanced GPUs that US tech giants rely on. This development has raised urgent questions about the future of AI leadership in the United States. For years, America maintained its dominance in AI, propelled by massive investments from OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft. However, DeepSeek's ability to maximize efficiency and innovation with limited resources challenges the long-held belief that AI supremacy depends solely on financial power and cutting-edge hardware. The implications extend far beyond a single breakthrough. DeepSeek's rise signals a potential turning point in the AI race, where cost-effectiveness and strategic innovation matter more than raw computational power. If AI models of this caliber can be built at a fraction of the cost, the traditional business models of Silicon Valley may no longer be sustainable. OpenAI has raised billions from Microsoft, while Google and Meta have spent years accumulating the most advanced GPUs. But DeepSeek's success suggests that sheer computing power is no longer the ultimate advantage. Efficiency has become the new battleground.
The incredible power of the arrival of AI and a new kind of intelligence while preserving human dignity and values. It's going to be hugely hard. It's going to be very, very difficult to maintain that balance.
Why is it so difficult?
Because the systems move so quickly. Look at what social media has done in terms of the overall zeitgeist in our country and around the world. And now imagine a much more intelligent, much stronger way of sending messages, inventing things, the rate of innovation, drug discovery, and all of that, plus all sorts of bad things like weapons and cyber attacks and things like that. It's happening very, very fast. A couple of years ahead of China, but China has caught up in the last 6 months in a way that is remarkable. The fact of the matter is that a couple of the Chinese programs, one, for example, is called DeepSeek, looks like they've caught up. And this is even after these extraordinary efforts by the Trump and Biden administration to withhold high-powered chips. The Chinese are clever, and they understand the power of a new kind of intelligence for their industrial might, their military might, and their surveillance system.
This shift is already shaking up financial markets. Nvidia, the dominant force in America's AI chip industry, saw its stock plummet 17% in a single day, wiping out $600 billion in market value, the largest one-day loss in its history. Investors, alarmed by DeepSeek's ability to achieve such performance with weaker chips, are now questioning whether US tech companies have overestimated their competitive edge. Microsoft, Google, and Meta also saw their stocks take a hit as the once unshakable assumption of their dominance in AI has been shattered.
A Chinese artificial intelligence company, DeepSeek, has thrown the entire American tech world into something close to panic by releasing a free AI assistant using cheaper chips and less data. And yes, this is a political story too. It's a story about raw power. The titans of California, clustered around President Trump, who think of themselves as the disruptors of our world, have suddenly themselves been disrupted. Investors panicked. Around £560 billion was wiped off US high-tech companies in reaction to the news. And for context, that is about twice Britain's entire social security budget. And among the companies most affected were the US chipmaker Nvidia, Alphabet, Microsoft, and also Amazon, Meta, and Tesla. Now, the markets may well correct and recover, but people are calling this a Sputnik moment, like the Soviet leap forward into space in 1957.
Beyond financial turmoil, the repercussions could lead to massive job losses. As AI models become cheaper and more efficient, the vast infrastructure built by US companies may become redundant. Thousands of engineers, data scientists, and AI researchers, once seen as having some of the most secure jobs in the industry, now face an uncertain future. Major firms like Google, OpenAI, Meta, and Microsoft are under pressure to cut costs, downsize AI divisions, and reconsider expensive research projects. The impact won't be limited to Silicon Valley, but will ripple across tech hubs throughout the United States.
Waking up to the reality that China has officially caught up and is overtaking the US in tech and innovation, despite America's best efforts to stop China's rise. From Stanford to MIT, China's DeepSeek R1 has become the model of choice for America's top university researchers, basically overnight. And to be honest, it's quite easy to see why. Independent third-party testing has shown that China's DeepSeek R1 is almost identical in terms of quality to the United States OpenAI, as shown in this graph. But what's most impressive is the price point. DeepSeek R1's output price is literally 30 times cheaper than OpenAI. Once again, I'm going to share with you the insights from America's famous tech billionaire Marc Andreessen, who states, "This week may have been the most important week of the decade for two totally different reasons." Marc is certainly referring to the re-election of Donald Trump and China's new AI development. It's quite the bold statement to claim that both of these events will define this decade, but in many ways, it's certainly true.
Even more alarming is the looming possibility that US companies may soon depend on Chinese AI. If Chinese firms can provide AI models with comparable or superior performance at a fraction of the cost, the incentive for American businesses to develop their own systems diminishes drastically. Instead of leading the charge, US corporations may find themselves licensing Chinese technology, effectively ceding control over one of the most critical technological frontiers of the 21st century. This wouldn't just be a commercial decision, but a geopolitical shift of enormous consequence. The AI battlefield, once dominated by the West, could soon see China dictating the terms of engagement. Despite Washington's aggressive attempts to curtail China's AI progress by restricting access to advanced semiconductor chips, these efforts have inadvertently strengthened China's resolve. Rather than stalling its progress, US sanctions have forced China to double down on innovation, prioritizing efficiency, optimization, and cost-effectiveness. This strategic shift has led to an unexpected outcome. China has adapted faster than anticipated, turning adversity into an opportunity. In many cases, it has even outpaced American development, crafting AI models that are effective and significantly more resource efficient.
DeepSeek really changes the game. It's not that it's better than any existing models, but it's cheaper. And it doesn't require as many H100s. And a lot of the US foreign policy around AI has been about how many of these fancy chips other people get to use. And China figured out a workaround to that. In the particular case of DeepSeek, they have a bias built in to say things that are consistent with what the Chinese party wants them to say. The deletion example, where it gave an answer and walked the answer back, shows you that something has been added on, bolted on to try to make this thing conform to somebody's idea of what's politically acceptable.
This exposes a fundamental flaw in US policy: the mistaken belief that China's AI advancement depended entirely on Western technology. The emergence of DeepSeek, a Chinese AI breakthrough, has shattered this illusion. While American firms have poured billions into ever larger models and increasingly sophisticated hardware, Chinese AI labs have taken a different path, proving that powerful AI doesn't require the latest chips. It requires ingenuity. By leveraging optimization techniques, software refinements, and alternative computing strategies, China has sidestepped the limitations imposed by U.S. sanctions. The breakthrough achieved by DeepSeek signals a wake-up call for Washington. This is no longer a question of whether China can catch up. It already has. The real concern now is whether the U.S. is willing to adapt fast enough to remain competitive. For decades, Silicon Valley operated under the assumption that bigger budgets, better chips, and sheer computational power would keep it ahead. But DeepSeek has demonstrated that agility, cost-effectiveness, and smart engineering can be just as, if not more, impactful. If the U.S. fails to pivot its strategy, it may soon find itself trailing behind in an industry it once believed was firmly under its control. This moment is more than just a technological milestone. It represents a seismic shift in global power dynamics. AI is not just another industry, but the foundation of future economic, military, and strategic influence. The ability to control AI development and deployment will determine who leads innovation and who dictates the global economy's rules. And for the first time, the U.S. is facing the very real possibility that it may no longer be at the top.
China has a lot of disadvantages in competing with the U.S. Number one is the fact that they don't get access to all the hardware that we have access to here. So they're kind of working with lower-end GPUs than us. It's almost like working with the previous generation GPUs crappily. And the fact that the bigger models tend to be more smarter naturally puts them at disadvantage. Flip side of this is that necessity is the mother of invention. Because they had to go figure out workarounds, they actually ended up building something a lot more efficient. It's like saying, hey, look, you guys really got to get a top-notch model, and I'm not going to give you resources. And like figure out something, right? Unless it's mathematically possible to prove that it's impossible to do so, you can always try to like come up with something more efficient. But that is likely to make them come up with a more efficient solution than America. And of course, they've open sourced it, so we can still adopt something like that here. But that kind of talent they're building to do that will become an edge for them over time, right? The leading open source model in America is Meta's Llama family. It's really good. It's kind of like a model that you can run on a computer. But even though it got pretty close to GPT-4 and Sonnet at the time of its release, the model that was closest in quality was the giant 405B, not the 70B that you could run on your computer. And so there was still not a small, cheap, fast, efficient open source model that rivaled the most powerful closed models from OpenAI and Anthropic. Nothing from America, nothing from Mistral AI either. And then these guys come out with like a crazy model that's like 10x cheaper in API pricing than GPT-4o and 15x cheaper than Sonnet, I believe. Really fast, 60 tokens per second, and pretty much equal or better in some benchmarks and worse in some others, but like roughly in that ballpark of 4O's quality. And they did it all with like approximately just 2048 H800 GPUs, which is actually equivalent to like somewhere around 1500 or 1500 H100 GPUs. That's like 20 to 30x lower than the amount of GPUs that GPT-4 is usually trained on. They roughly $5 million in total compute budget.
Silicon Valley's AI powerhouses are already feeling the pressure. Once confident in the unchallenged dominance of American tech firms, investors are now reconsidering their bets. Questions loom over whether companies like OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft can maintain their edge, or will they slowly be forced to adopt Chinese-developed AI tools simply to remain competitive? At the same time, the U.S. government is scrambling to formulate a response, recognizing that its grip on AI supremacy is slipping faster than anticipated. For too long, the world underestimated China's ability to lead in AI innovation. DeepSeek has shattered that misconception. If the United States wants to retain its influence in the AI-driven economy of the future, it must radically rethink its approach. Efficiency, adaptability, and strategic foresight will be the key to survival. Otherwise, this could be the defining moment when the US officially relinquishes its position as the leader of the AI revolution.
Maybe in the next year or two, where the systems can begin to do their own research. They're called AI scientists as opposed to human scientists. So you go from having 1,000 human scientists to 1 million AI scientists. I think that increases the slope. When you're moving at this space, it's very hard for your competitors to catch up. That's the race. It is crucial that America wins this race, globally and in particular ahead of China.
The AI race is no longer about who started first, but who adapted the fastest. DeepSeek has rewritten the rules, and now the US must decide whether to fight to reclaim its lead or risk becoming just another player in a game it once dominated. The future of AI is the future of the global economy, and that battle has already begun. If you found this analysis valuable, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Finance Log for insights into the biggest economic shifts shaping our world. Thanks for being a part of the Finance Log, and we'll see you in the next one.